Hi there, I'm Sean Dillman. In this video, I'll be reviewing the 2020 documentary, The Alpinist. If you like this video and find it to be helpful, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay, so to get started, The Alpinist is a 2020 documentary that follows the climber Marc-Andre Leclerc for about 2 years of his life. So Marc-Andre is a climber who was born and raised in British Columbia, Canada, and from a young age he was a bit of a free spirit and wanted to do things his own way, and he took a really strong interest in climbing and in mountaineering and in being an alpinist. He talks in the film about these persons that he would see in books that he had found and how he really looked up to them, and he thought that it would be really cool to be part of that tradition one day. So from a young age he started climbing, and by all accounts he became one of the best climbers around. There's all kinds of snippets of other climbers in the film who are talking about him and saying that they are just completely blown away by him and basically his raw talent and his ability to climb. So if you're not familiar with climbing, and I'm not a climber myself, but my understanding is that there's lots of different ways to do it. You can use, all kinds of different types of equipment, ropes, you can climb in teams. There's ways to do it that are safer than other ways. The way that Marc-Andre Leclerc would climb was essentially a free solo style, which means that he would just go up without a rope and he would use his hands, or he would use some equipment, either pickaxes if he was climbing in ice or snow. He would have ice picks on his shoes that he would wear, or he would switch shoes if he needed to, if he was climbing a different type of rock. So there's definitely a bit of more to it than just getting up onto the wall and climbing, and he seemed to be quite an expert in knowing what conditions would allow him to climb one way and how he would have to change his style. So there's all kinds of amazing stuff in the film which shows scenes of him climbing. A lot of the shots are actually incredible. They're actually kind of terrifying, because if you think about it, sometimes when I was watching it, I was sitting there thinking, oh my goodness, the camera crew is up there too. How are they getting these shots? Do they have a helicopter, or do they have a climbing crew with them as well so that they can follow him? And it's just an amazing film in that sense. All of these shots of him climbing all over the place. So one thing that I really liked about the movie is Marc-Andre himself is a really likable guy. It's nice for me to be able to watch a movie where I actually like the characters. I have seen films in the past where I realize that I'm not necessarily rooting for any of the characters, or maybe I'm not invested in any of the characters, and that can really make for a less than stellar experience. But in this film, this guy, he's just got this magnetic energy. He comes off as a really nice, down-to-earth guy right off the bat. Still quite, reasonable guy. He knows what he's doing. He knows that there's risks. But he's taking it all in stride, and he's doing what he wants to do, and he's following his passion, which is incredible. So from that perspective, I really enjoyed how Marc-Andre, the person that we're spending most of the time with in the film, is a person that is a really genuine guy that is really quite a pleasure to watch and to care about him. His girlfriend or partner Brett, she's also in the film quite a bit, and she seems really wonderful as well. So as a couple, it's really cool to see their experiences and to share kind of a slice of their life and things that they've done. So by all accounts, they're an incredible couple. They do things that most of us would never dream of doing, as far as climbing up onto the side of the mountain and having our tent set up on the side of this cliff looking out. So there's all of this stuff going on in the movie. From a cinematography perspective, this film is unreal. The people that made this really just outdid themselves in terms of the shots that they're getting, on a mountain, on the side of the mountain, looking up a mountain. Beautiful shots of different towns that we visit where Marc-Andre is climbing. He climbs in Patagonia, he climbs in British Columbia. and it's just incredible to see these different places and you know, have them come alive. So as far as how it looks, the film looks absolutely incredible. It sounds really great too. There was a couple of musical pieces that I thought really fit well with what was going on with the scenes and what's happening. So the music didn't necessarily jump out at me or anything like that, but I thought that it was pretty good, and it was doing the job of supporting the film and supporting Marc-Andre and his story. And a lot of people are probably going to be turned on to this movie by the 2018 documentary Free Solo, which stars Alex Honnold, an American climber. And Alex actually seems really similar to Marc-Andre. You know, he's a really personable guy, very down to earth. He knows what he's doing. He's aware of the risks. He's also a free solo climber. And Alex actually appears a few times in the movie to talk about Marc-Andre and, you know, essentially, you know, give him praise for doing, you know, incredible climbs and making incredible achievements in the world of climbing and alpinism. So it was cool to see Alex in there. I have seen Free Solo. If you haven't seen that one, it's also unreal. It's got a lot of similar content in that it has beautiful scenes, and it's almost kind of scary sometimes to think like, oh my gosh, you know, here is this guy way up here on the side of a cliff, and you know, he could fall. You know, that could happen. If you're watching the movie and you know that Alex is, you know, doing interviews afterwards, you probably know that he didn't fall off the side of the mountain, but it's actually not really something that you think of while you're watching it. You just think like, oh my gosh, this is incredible, and this is some scary stuff. And it's all real, right? It's totally real. This is a documentary. This is not like a Hollywood movie or anything like that. This is real stuff that is really happening and real people, and it's incredible. It's a really amazing thing to see. So if I had to talk about the things that I don't like about the movie, I'd have to warn you first and give you a spoiler alert. And that spoiler is that Marc-Andre actually passes away, and that wasn't something that I that wasn't something that I expected to see happen. It's interesting to me. I actually live in the part of the world where Marc-Andre is from, and I wasn't aware of that for whatever reason. I suppose I didn't see it in the news, and I suppose I wasn't aware of him. But yeah, I wasn't anticipating that in the movie, so. You know, I suppose I couldn't really say that's something about the movie that I didn't like, but it's a reality that I don't like, I guess, you know. So without giving too much away, essentially the filmmakers at the end of the film were saying that they were hoping to wrap everything up. Marc-Andre had completed an amazing climb of a mountain down in Patagonia. He had been thinking about doing it for a long time. And it seemed that the story was going to end there, but while they were wrapping the film in, Marc-Andre went to climb with a friend in Alaska, and sadly they didn't make it out, and they were caught by an avalanche. So I should note that there's nothing graphic to see or anything like that, but still it's quite a tragic thing to know that they were never able to make it down because of an avalanche. So that's a really tragic thing, and it's something that I feel I should definitely mention and warn people about. It definitely took me off guard. You know, I mentioned Free Solo, and in that movie there was kind of similar things I was thinking. I didn't actually know Alex Honnold at the time, or I wasn't aware of him, so I was thinking, you know, maybe he could fall, maybe he could pass away in this movie. You know, I don't know that he wouldn't, and you know, I know that these things happen with high risk climbs and these very extreme climbs. You know, climbers do you know, fall and die, you know, often enough, right? It happens. So it's not something I suppose I wasn't ready for, but I guess because I saw Free Solo, maybe I was anticipating a similar thing where, you know, Marc-Andre does his climbing, and then the movie ends and everything's great. And you know, I was probably going to go and check him out online and see, you know, what's Marc-Andre up to now. But that wasn't to be. There was no need for me to do that. It's a tragic thing. So if I had to say things that I didn't like about the film, aside from that, I don't really think that there's anything that I would say. I think that this was an absolutely amazing documentary. I think I would recommend it to anybody. I think I would warn them possibly if knowing about Marc-Andre passing away is going to be particularly difficult, that might not be something that they want to see. But for people who can handle that, and for people that's not a problem for, this was just an incredible film. It was very inspiring to see that Marc-Andre and his partner, his life partner, Brett, the way that they live, and they know the risks, and they push, and they do these incredible climbs. For each of us, there's people in our lives who care about us, and if we were to pass away, you know, we're really not just hurting ourselves, we're hurting other people. However, there is a line there where, you know, if you want to live your life and if you want to do these things, you know, maybe you do those things anyways, and maybe the people in your life, if they're supportive of what you're doing, they can understand that. And in the case of Marc-Andre, it definitely seemed to be that way. His mother appears in the film quite a bit as well, at various times, and I believe she said at his celebration of life that she believes that he lived the life that he was meant to live. And I found that to be a really comforting thing, to know that she's at peace with it in that sense. You know, obviously it's tragic, obviously that's, you know, not how anybody would want things to have unfolded, but at least she has found peace with it. And I believe that that Marc-Andre's partner Brett has found peace as well, or so it seems. And naturally I wish Marc-Andre's family and friends and Brett and everybody all the best. As far as what parents may want to know for this film, aside from what I was just mentioning about Marc-Andre passing away, I don't think that there's anything that parents would want to, there's any reason that a parent may want to shy away from this. I think maybe the F word is used a couple times, but just in passing, you know. I don't remember there being any violence or weapons or anything like that. There's some talk about drug use, I suppose, and essentially they talk about how maybe that wasn't such a good idea, so that is there as well. No sex, no nudity, a little bit of rock and roll, but that's okay. So yeah, I think that for parents, you know, maybe because of what happens at the end, you know, maybe this is something that you don't want to show a 10-year-old, but, you know, maybe a young teen or a teen, you know, it's a little bit more suitable for them. I suppose some parents may also want to talk with their kids about the way that Marc-Andre lived, and you know, maybe if they have kids that are going to look up to him and think, you know, now I'm going to go and climb up a mountain, you know, maybe hold your horses, and maybe they want to understand that Marc-Andre was clearly a highly skilled professional. He was, by all accounts, just, you know, incredibly talented. There are numerous professionals who appear throughout the film and talk about his talent and talk about his technique and talk about his vision when it comes to climbing, that definitely made me appreciate that, you know, this guy was really on another level. And actually that's one of the final things that I'll mention about the film that I found to be really interesting. Right at the beginning of the movie, they point out that Marc-Andre was climbing for the love of climbing. He was not climbing to get rich. He was not climbing to get famous. He was doing all kinds of climbs that were record-breaking, and he wasn't filming them. He wasn't recording them. He wasn't writing them down. He wasn't telling people about them. He was just going out and climbing for the pure love of climbing and for the pure love of being out there and doing what he loved to do. So from that perspective, the movie definitely has a really pure and beautiful lesson about people really throwing themselves, you know, wholly and truly into things that they love to do and want to do. Of course, there's the cautionary tale element with Marc-Andre passing away, but that notwithstanding, I think that most of us, you know, if we're following our passions, most of us, our passions are perhaps not all that dangerous, and maybe there's, you know, there's not a lot of application of the cautionary tale to us, but there is a lot of application to the idea of, you know, get off your butt, get out there and do the things that you want to do and live your life. And that was a message that I definitely felt throughout. And I think that this movie's going to stick with me for a while. I imagine I'll be thinking about it quite a bit, or that it's going to be occurring to me, you know, every now and then in the future. So if you haven't seen it, I would definitely recommend seeing The Alpinist. If you'd like to buy a copy or see it on Amazon Prime, please use my Amazon link below. And thank you again for watching. If you liked this video and found it to be helpful, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And as always, thank you for watching again. My name is Sean Dillman.